Okay, here's a question that a lot of students are struggling with. Um, First thing we have here is we have the information that's given to us. The information here they give us, they basically give us, basically you have a flagpole with two ropes tied off of it. They give us angle ADC is a measure of 45 degrees, and angle BDC is the measure of 30 degrees. So we have here ADC, which is this big angle, all the way from here to here, is 45 degrees. And then we have angle BDC, and it's 30 degrees. Okay, so it says, what is the distance between these 2 points right here, A and B? Okay, so what we're trying to do then is we have to, with the information given, what can we find? Well, if I look at this, I can find, since I have this angle and this leg, or leg I guess we'd call it, I can find from here to here, AC. So I can find AC, okay? Then they give us this little angle right here. I can now find BC, okay? So I have A to C and B to C. If I can find those two using trig functions, then if I take AC and minus BC, I will find AB, okay? Okay, so to do that, we now need to use the sine or cosine or tangent. And I'm just going to go over really quick how I remember these. I say Scott, and that's the first letters of all three of them. So SCT, Scott, sine, cosine, tangent. And then how I remember this is O is for opposite, H is for hypotenuse, A is adjacent. And we should know those, that the hypotenuse is always opposite the right angle. The opposite, or hypotenuse is always opposite the right angle. Opposite is opposite the angle that we have. Okay, so like 30, that would be BC, would be opposite. Adjacent is the other leg. Okay, so then how I remember this, I say Oscar had a heap of apples. And I still remember that from high school. I was taught that. And I memorized it, and now I can just kind of go through these and figure it out. Okay, so with that, we need to find BC. Okay, so find BC, this right here, we have this angle. We need to find this. So I'm going to put a little X here so we can just see. We're trying to find this. So we make that an X. And we have the other. So we have opposite the angle. So opposite the angle over the adjacent. So we look here. So I'm looking for opposite O over A. So it's tangent. Okay, so it's tangent. So basically then, this is how you'd write this out. You'd have tangent 30 equals, now you just write it down. Opposite was X, so it's X over the adjacent, which is 5 square roots of 3. Now, don't let this 5 square roots of 3 scare you, okay? There's a couple ways you can do it depending on what calculator you have. If you have a calculator, you can just put parentheses around it and put 5 times the square root of 3 in your calculator, and it'll actually solve it for you. Or if you don't have that, you can take 5 times the square root of 3, and you're going to get a decimal, some number in a decimal, and you can use it that way. So don't let that square root scare you, okay? Don't let it scare you into thinking that you can't solve this. Okay, so now we're here. I got to get X by itself. So I always say is you go to the side of the X, okay? And we're going to go to the side of the X, and then you do the opposite of what it says. It says X divided by 5 square roots of 3. So I'm going to multiply, because that's the opposite, 5 square root of 3. And what you do to one side, you always have to do the other side. So 5 square root of 3. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite this. Tangent 30 times 5 square roots of 3. Now you go to your calculator, because that's going to equal X then. Okay, so now you go to your calculator, Let me get my calculator here real quick. Okay, just so I want you guys to be able to see it. Kind of a glare. Let me see if I move that down a little bit. Maybe that's better. Okay. So basically then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take tangent of 30, which gives me a number. Okay. And I could go tangent of 30, close that, and then go times 5 square root of 3. Hit enter. Okay, so for this one I get 5. So x equals 5. Okay, now we got to find AC. So we're going to do the exact same thing, but we're going to use 45 degrees. So now we're going to go tangent of 45 equals, okay, so now it's this big triangle, so you're going to go opposite. We don't know this opposite, so we're going to go x over 5 square root of 3. So we do the exact same thing. Multiply by 5 square root of 3. Multiply this by 5 square root of 3. Okay, so we rewrite it as tangent 45 times, times 5 square root of 3. Okay, again, pull up our calculator. Okay, I want to make sure you can see this. Okay, so I'm going to go tangent. Let's see, tangent 45, close it, times, you notice tangent of 45 is 1, so it's just going to be 5 square roots of 3, 5 square roots of 3 equals. Basically, it equals then 8.66. So now we said, once we have this, if we take AC minus BC, we get AB. So we want to take AC, which is this, 8.66 minus 5 equals 3.66. So that is your answer. Okay. Now we're going to move on to another one that's similar. Okay. In this one, again, it says it's an airplane. Max observes the zoo and the library from a helicopter. Looks like an airplane to me. Flying at a height of 400 square roots of 3. Again, don't let that. That's just 400 times the square root of 3, and that gives you a number. Okay? So what is the distance between the zoo and the library? So we want to ultimately find this right here. Looking at what we have, what can we find? So we have this angle, we have this side, we can find this using trigonometric functions. So we can find g to the zoo. Okay, then we have this angle, we have this side, and we can find from here to here. Okay, so then if you look at that again, if we take from here to here minus this to this, we have what's left is from the zoo to the library. Okay, so first thing we got to do is find g to the zoo. Okay, so if we find g to the zoo here, we're going to do, again, what information? I need this. So if I got opposite over adjacent. So once again, it's tangent again. Okay, so opposite, if we go back up here and look, opposite over adjacent. So that's tangent I'm going to use. You use the information given. Okay, so we're going to go, this is g to the zoo, so we're going to go tangent of 60 equals opposite, which is 400 square root of 3 all over x, because that's what we're trying to find. Okay, again, it turns into algebra. I got to go to the side of the x. This one's a little more complex because you got to get the x out of the bottom here first. So you're going to take this times x, and we're going to take this times x. This x cancels, so you're left with tangent of 60 times x equals tangent equals 400 square root of 3. Okay. All right, now it says tangent 60 times x, so we do the opposite of what it says. So we're going to divide by tangent to get rid of it on this side. So you get tangent 60, and then you got to take this side, tangent of 60. Okay, this cancels out, so you're left with just x. So let's see what this equals here. Again, we get our calculator out. Okay, so we get our calculator out here. And we are going to go 400 times the square root of 3 equals divided by tangent of 60. Gives us 400. Okay, so our answer there is 400. Okay, and then, so that's the distance from here to here. Now we're going to find the distance from here to here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that down here. So G to library. Okay, so now we have tangent of 30. Same idea, opposite over adjacent. Okay, this whole thing, adjacent. So we have 400 square root of 3 all over x. So we multiply by x. That cancels here. We've got to take this by x. So we have tangent of 30 times x equals 400 square root of 3. Okay. Now, we do the opposite of what it's, go to the side of the x, and then do the opposite of what it says. Times, so we divide. Tangent of 30, that cancels. We got to take this divided by tangent of 30. So again, we grab the calculator. Okay, so again, we go 400 times the square root of 3 equals that divided by tangent of 30 equals. You can see there, it's 1200. Okay, 1200. So now we want to go, we said we want to go G to the library minus G to the zoo. So G to the library is 1200 minus 400 equals 800. So there is our answer.